Have you ever been so lost on this journey of life to where nothing makes any sense anymore? Where you feel almost like you've become dumber and dumber, and it's like your mind can't even put two and two together to get four. It's like almost being an infant where you don't really know what's going on and it's just happening around you, but you're stuck in that infantile state where you can't really get out of it. And years go by like this, where people and places are just happening around you. You try to connect with anything that you can find. Words, books, voices, friends, family, the internet, YouTube, TikTok, never mind. You know what I mean, though? It's like you try anything. Go to a new place, try a hobby, walk around and talk to random strangers, and you seek and you try to connect and you try to make it make sense and you look for that meaning, and you try to stay off the news because when you're on the news, it's all just bad news. The world is coming to an end, and it's always coming to an end, apparently. It's like perpetual doom and gloom, and we're destroying everything, our planet, and so on and so forth. And so you don't look at the news anymore, and then you're out of the loop, and you're out of the picture, and you don't know what's happening in that sense either. You might be dealing with illness, disease, injury, mental health, disability, loss, grief, rage, sorrow, despair, horror, terror, trauma, and so on and so on and so on. And like, what do you do? At that point, what do you do? What if you're living in such a dissociative fog that you just can't even feel what's happening? You can't even breathe. You can't make that connection. The characters around you just kind of play the same old tune over and over again. Things don't really feel as if they're evolving in some grand purpose or some meaningful future outcome. It's just it's like a sad and lonely tragedy. So, or is that just me? I don't know, guys. Like, is that what you feel like too, or is that just me? But like the world, I mean, has something bad ever happened to you, or quote bad, let's do double quotes, and then the world just kept on going? Everything just kept on running. All the people around you just kept on doing what they do. Like, the world doesn't, I mean, on the one hand, it needs you because you're unique. You're the only version of you that exists here. So it would stand to reason that there's something special you can contribute. And on the other hand, it doesn't really need you because it just keeps going. Is it going somewhere good? Who knows? I personally shut off my mind probably like 20 years ago, to where I was just having so much impossible to deal with thoughts. And eventually I was able to just shut them all down. It took me like 5, 6, 7 years of just constantly shutting them all down and shutting them, because I tried to bring forth everything, and it was a recipe for doom and gloom and disaster. And so I just shut them all down. It took me like 5 or 6, 7 years. Eventually it all just stopped. All the mental noise kind of quieted down, and I don't hear it anymore. It's been like that for 15 years maybe a little less than that, but I don't really hear an inner voice anymore in my mind, and there's not like a monologue that's running all day, blah, 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 blah. Those thoughts are all probably there somewhere, but I don't notice them. Rarely do I notice them. And I'm just in this kind of dull fugue state where there's not really much. I mean, I can just say years go by and nothing happens, nothing changes. I mean, things change, but I'm still, I can measure things like what they were a couple of years ago, what they are now, and it's like, oh wow, okay, that's stayed the same or gotten more dysfunctional. But then I say, gotta stay positive. Because at the end of the day, that's all you have. Your mind. Choose to live in a negative mindset, positive mindset. Gotta stay positive. Gotta stay, you just try to make it as uplifting as possible, no matter how grim it might actually seem on the outside. Just, just try to do the best you can and go get 'em, tiger, or whatever. You know what I mean. I'm not going to just fake it till you make it or whatever. And, you could do that for like 15, 20, 30 years, fake it till you make it. And maybe you never make it. I don't think I ever made it. And objectively, I think my life is pretty sad. I think it's pretty sad. And it's not that easy to fix. It's not something you can just change just like that. I used to think that, but I don't anymore. If it was that easy, we'd all be doing it. So, it really pains me to talk about this these days, and I don't know that I've gotten any better in the last year since I started making these videos, and looking back and realizing like my life hasn't really improved much. I still don't have a job. My injury is still very actively injurious and disabling. And my daughter still lives 500 miles away and I still haven't seen her. And I don't, there are little things I can look at here and there that might be improvements. And also just, I'm still living in the same little space in my parents' house, and it still makes me feel all kinds of horrible. And I don't think I found much more love or connection or grace or anything like that in this past year. It's just been really hard. And I just keep going. And it makes me sick even saying that. Like, I feel gross. I feel like, why are you still going? Why? If things never seem to get better, and years have gone by, and you've literally watched yourself get sick, and then literally watched your skin fall down off your face, and you look like a zombie, and it's like, you're going to keep going for what reason exactly? What's the what's the payoff? Or because you can't just YOLO it. You can't just do whatever you want. At least I can't. If I try that shit, I get hurt real fast. And I'm already in a world of hurt. So I have to be careful and only take the right steps. And I can't just mess around and fuck about and do whatever. If it were like that, I feel like, yeah, this would be okay, cool. I've got nothing to lose and I'm in crippling disability, but I can just freaking do whatever the heck I want and to heck with the consequences. At least that would give it some sense of liberation or bewildering freedom. But it's not like that, because once we have a little bit of a hold on this life and we're like, okay, I'm not dead yet, I can keep going. If our situation is really tenuous, or it feels really tenuous, like we don't want to lose that progress, even if it's only like 1% of where we used to be. We don't want to lose that progress. If I think about things getting much, much worse than they have been, I can't. It just give me a break. Like, this is a joke, right? It's like a joke. This is a joke, right, guys? Like, this is not happening, right? And I go into denial because it's so hard to cope that it's like, no, just no. I am not even, like, you're going to hand me that, I'm going to say no thanks. So I don't know, man. Who are we even talking to when I say, I don't know, man? Who are we even talking? Who am I talking to? Who am I? Who am I that I'm sitting here? Oh, Mr. My life sucks. Oh, Mr. I don't have a job because I can't work because I'm too disabled and no one wants to hire me and I can't work for myself because, oh, blah, 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 blah. It's like, well, other people have it worse than you. Some people are in comas. Well, actually, okay, we're not going to argue about whether that would be better or worse. But you're at least wiggling around a little bit still. Oof, and it's like, oh, but wait, everything that I just did there hurts a lot. That, ow, no, don't move those things. It's like, no, I'm going to keep moving. Shut up. Don't even bother. So everything just always hurts all the time when I move and blah, blah, blah. And honestly, I'm just waiting for some sort of intuition or intuition or like guideline as to what's the next step. Because what else am I supposed to do when most of the steps that I take just lead me into worse and worse situations? Stop moving? Because no, if I stop moving, I die. So I have to move. So what do? Just stand in place and do a little dance, like an idiot? I mean, that's just embarrassing. I mean, it's embarrassing. I can't believe that this is all life is all about. It's just like suffering, misery, pain. But like, that's not. A long time ago, when I had some like better health, maybe I had a little bit of independence and I had a little bit of maybe money or some social connections, it was easier. And I think I was able to like feel a little bit sometimes maybe like something was actually going on. And here now, I've been in this like purgatory, I guess, for like almost 1,000 days, like 926 days. Kind of same thing day in, day out, just alone in this little tiny apartment, just next to my parents' house where I grew up and all that entails. And it makes me just so crazy. And I can't seem to get a single bit of space or freedom or connection. I'm trying so hard, and then when it doesn't work, then I just stop trying, and that doesn't work. And then I'm like, well, you got to do something. You can't try or not try. You have to try or not try. It's like there's no path. There's no route. There's no way. There's no like opening. so I just keep going, and I wake up the next day and it's like, oh, this is so hard. But you know what? Just at a certain point, you have to suppress and suppress and suppress, because you can't handle those emotions anymore, especially not if it's like not in a place where you feel safe having feelings. And you just got to bear it, and you just have to bear it. And it's like, maybe someday it's going to change. I don't feel hope. Like I don't actively feel that, but I think it, and I trust it. I'm like, I know that there's always an option. I know that somewhere, I feel so in the dark and so lost that it's positively indescribable. Like every single thing that I ever thought or knew or learned or connected with in my childhood and my like adolescence and early 20s, it's just a vanishing mirage. It's all make-believe stuff that never even, maybe it did happen, but I don't even, and I don't feel freedom in that necessarily. It's like, hey, wait a minute. What's wrong with me? Why couldn't I have a story, a nice story, a good one? But I have to find my footing in this immediate present moment of nothing. And I can look around me and say, oh yes, my feet are on the ground. But at the same time, I don't feel that weight. And I can feel the air around me and say, oh yeah, it's a little bit chilly. But at the same time, what does it mean? Just the air is cold, that's it? How does that help me find purpose or find a path in life so I can keep moving forward and try to, I want to give something to this world. I can't have the entire purpose of my life to just be suffering and then die. I can, but I don't want it to be. I feel like there's so much that I have to offer the world before I go. Why can't I do that? Or what's the holdup? What am I waiting for? What's stopping me? What is stopping me? Do I not actually have anything to offer? I doubt that. Seriously doubt that. I feel like I have a lot to offer and something of profound value to this world. So I believe that, but I have no idea where it is or where to access that or why it seems like it's not actually what it's supposed to be, or it's not really like the way that it's supposed to be. Like what I'm trying to offer the world is not being received. Or I'm not receiving it from wherever it's coming from. So, because I don't doubt that the world, as in other people, I don't doubt that those people would be more than happy to receive whatever it is that I have to give. No doubt about that. But what is the holdup within myself that I'm not able or willing to be the channel for that, or to be the conduit for that, or whatever it might be? And when we say that, what are we talking about? Other than love, what else would we be talking about in its purest form? There's nothing other than that. It's just a matter of, well, how does that come through? Because there's got to be a way for each and every one of us to channel love in our day-to-day lives in a way that is non-discriminatory and that is all-embracing and permeates every aspect of our experience without that fear of being taken advantage of. And it's such a valid, that fear has been confirmed by the past, because in the past, so many bad things have happened to people where people have been taken advantage of by being trusting, by being open, and then just allowing themselves to be harmed. And it's happened to more of us than, like, who hasn't had that experience? You know what I'm saying? Some people to really traumatizing depths. So is that just supposed to keep happening? Is that just part of the cost of choosing to show up? Or do we somehow get to choose, hey, you know what, I actually don't want to be harmed. I would like to be open and I'd like to share what I have to share without being harmed. Is that something that anyone else would be interested as well? Do we want to do some kind of non-exploitative, exploitative process or game? Or does anyone want to play that game? Not harming? I mean, and then we mess it up and then things go afoul and gets out of hand and people get hurt. We live and we learn and blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, okay, let's minimize it. Let's just move on. But isn't there actually anything really like worth evolving here or like really stepping into and becoming that change that, I don't know, maybe people experience life that way where they really have completely changed and the world has met them in that new place and things go well for a while, or from here on out things go well. I haven't had that experience, and I really wish that were the case. Well, it is 5:38 p.m., which means I really need to go and get dinner started, and I'm so tired. But every day, breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's too much for me still. I'm not really able to manage it all without losing energy, but what else can I do? If I only eat 2 meals a day, then I'll just lose energy even faster. I'm not figuring it out, guys. The whole equation of energy in and energy out and when to rest and when to work or what to do, I can't figure any of it out because I just keep getting hurt. And some people will say, oh, well, you have this medical problem and you have this kind of condition, and oh, well, we can't fix that and we can't cure that. And some people will just get worse and worse and worse and then just have a really bad experience of life and eventually die. I don't know. I just really would love to be able to participate. I really would love to be able to participate. I want to. And only I can figure out how to do that because other people are not walking in my shoes and don't understand the particulars of my situation. And I guess looking at me from the outside, it's a completely different, so different. It's wildly different. You could look at this and say, oh, yes, I see. Okay, well, and I could look at that too and look at a recording of myself and not feel what I'm feeling and think what I'm thinking. And I'd say, oh, yes, well, oh, no big deal. But then when I'm in this, it's hard to make that connection. I have to be comfortable enough exploring these things without really even knowing what I'm talking about and without needing to appear like I'm cognizant or sane or, with it. So that there is an element of uncertainty, confusion, doubt, real disconnection or loss or darkness, and to be able to be comfortable expressing that without the fear of how that might be perceived, and just get a little bit crazy, like get a little bit out there in uncharted territory where it doesn't make any sense, and allow that to be okay, and trust that even if it gets really, really weird, that somehow that's fine. Somehow that's acceptable. Somehow that's, I don't know. All right, well, again, got to go make that food and eat that food, and that's just the way that it has to be. So I'm going to cut this talk short.